Yeah, but these air defense systems, those canisters are looking too long to be S-300 missiles. They, for a very long time, hinted at potentially a new air defense system, the Pongai 6, which would be some new advancement. That may be what we're looking at here, though. Just judging by canisters, of course, it's difficult to be sure.
I agree. Those canisters do look too long for the KN-06 Pongai 5.
Yeah, that would be a very significant development, given that they haven't really developed any new anti-aircraft systems that we knew of up until this point. So they would have very clandestinely gone about this. If you know a system, if you've been able to analyze it for years, as in the case of Russian S-300, it's also far easier to combat the system because you can know what its weak points are. In the North Korean case, there's often so many question marks that really complicates the picture.
Right, and we should clarify to viewers that a lot of these very first impressions are subject to review. A lot of the times, the first view of a parade leads to assessments that require updating as more information becomes available.
Yeah, just for context, we were requested by a very smart reader of the website to do this sports style commentary, and so this live kind of commentary is new for all of us, but we hope you are appreciating it.
I do wonder if they have set aside the Pukguksong 3. It saw a single test and no return, and now we see a Pukguksong 4A. So it is possible that was a small intermediary developmental step onto a new SLBM.
Yeah, so these transporter reactor launchers haven't featured yet in parades either, but this is the tracked equivalent of those Iskander-like missiles. I should really mention Iskander-like instead of Iskander-derived missiles that we saw earlier.
So many questions coming to mind. How did they get the equipment for this? How did the North Koreans get the finance? Where did they get the technology? It's really pretty impressive, I'd say, from where we've seen previous parades.
Yeah.
These look like the canisters for the KN-24, which is another short-range ballistic missile first seen in 2019 that externally resembles the U.S. Army ATACMS short-range ballistic missile system.
Yeah, it should be mentioned though that it's a fair size larger. Like the ATACMS is a tactical system, and this really is a ballistic missile. So these transporter erector launchers are absolutely huge. It may not come across as such on screen, but standing beside them, they overtake you quite.
Is this the Hwasong 12 coming through?
Yeah,
that is
yes, they are.
The Hwasong 12 intermediate range ballistic missile.
Yeah, staple of past parades of the previous few years.
Tested. It was tested 6 times in 2017, 3 times in April, first time successfully in May 2017, and then tested once in August over Japan, and then tested again in September over Japan. It's the North Korean missile to have demonstrated the longest flight range of any missile. I believe their final test in September 2017 demonstrated a range capable of striking Guam, I believe in excess of 3,500 kilometers from North Korea in the northern Pacific.
Yeah, should be mentioned though that these are all liquid fueled as opposed to the solid fueled, which we saw earlier. So that really complicates. You have to fuel these missiles with corrosive fuels right before launch, and that takes time, and it makes it easier to find them. And
these Hwasong 12s they keep rolling, if I'm not mistaken. We've just seen more.
Yes, we have. They're all using, these are the modified Musudan TELs that North Korea imported from Belarus that they have a limited number of, but they're using them to carry the Hwasong 12. Here we have the Hwasong
15. Counting the transporters of this is really important. We've all been speculating there could be an increase here.
Right.
Looks like 4 so far. Ankit?
I see 4.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't really think I don't think they have a production capability for vehicles of this size yet. These vehicles which we're seeing are 9-axle, massive 9-axle vehicles, but they're based on a Chinese transporter erector launcher, which they imported somewhere in the previous decade, and I think they only have like 8 of them.
I believe 6.
Something like that. They
at least them. Yeah, they were imported from China with falsified end-user licensing for forestry applications in North Korea. But of course, forestry turned out to be a different kind of activity in the end.
Yeah.
But these are heavily modified. I think I see 4. We haven't gotten a good shot that lets us assess the full line.
So yeah, that means they haven't figured out the mass production of these transporter erector launchers as Kim Jong-un was hoping for, it seems.
They may have mobile erector launchers that are towed. There does appear to be something behind the Hwasong 15.
That does seem to be a new type of long-range missile.
Yeah, remember, we're all looking for a new strategic weapon, as Kim Jong-un hinted at in December 2019, so...
People look like they're anticipating something, and here it comes.
Yeah.
Okay, so these do use the same transporters, but
How
they
many
are
axles
new
is
missiles.
That's a much larger missile.
Yeah,
And 4 of them.
9 on my first. I thought I counted 9 axles, but the cab is new. Of course, they do that every time to accommodate the warhead of the missile. Yeah. Oh no, it's 10 axle. Wait, is it? It's 11 axle.
11 axle. That's huge.
Wow.
These are absolutely massive. These are the largest road mobile ICBMs, I think, to have ever been built, presumably.
Largest road mobile liquid fuel missile, certainly. That does appear to be a liquid propellant-based system. An enlarged or extended Hwasong 15, it appears.
Yeah, these are absolutely massive. And I wouldn't really hazard to guess on whether these are still modified Chinese transporter erector launchers, or whether they actually did manage to produce them themselves at this point.
This actually appears that it might be based on the Maz Musudan Tel that's been extended and merged with another one, which is an interesting possibility. But again, this is a very early assessment. We need to look at these pictures much more closely.
Yeah, I think you can see by the wheel caps on these vehicles, you can see which wheels are driven and which are not, and that's how we could clearly figure out that the previous Hwasong 15 TELs were based on the Chinese chassis, and I'm seeing a similar pattern here. Some of these wheel caps seem indented, and that seems consistent with like the WS 51200.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in focusing on the system itself, I haven't been keeping count of the actual number of TELs we've seen so far, but I counted 4 of both the Hwasong 15 and this new system.
Yeah. So that would mean they've used all. If these are variants of the Chinese logging vehicles, that's showing their full 8. And we know normally that the North Koreans have a reserve of everything coming in case there's a breakdown. So I guess it's still inconclusive as to whether or not they have cracked this nut of TEL production.
Yeah, the problem is the cab on the new integrated transporter erector launcher for the new massive ICBM appears quite different from the Wanshan 51-200 based TEL that they've used for the Hwasong 14 and Hwasong 15. So I would want to take a closer look at that. But it is possible that this is a different design derived from a different base vehicle.
And we're now seeing Kim Jong-un walking away from the parade stand, which would suggest that the usual parade of floats, the civilian parade that we normally see after the military aspect, may not actually be included. We always look out at this aspect of the parade to determine whether or not there are new propaganda messages. We've seen, for example, in 2017 April parade, a lot of floats referencing North Korea's so-called Byungjin policy of developing nuclear and nuclear weapons capabilities in the economy simultaneously. So that we may be absent some clues, at least in the civilian propaganda, as to where things are going from here.
진리를 영원히 지키고 빛내갈 신념과 맹세의 선언입니다.